Hello everybody. Hopefully you got some good takeaways from listening to the panel just now. Obviously, you know, we've got our 4 top logistics companies just there speaking to you. So I'll give you some info now about Toll. I've got a couple of slides that I'll take you through. With the next one, if I can. Here we go. So we move the businesses that move our world. This is a bit of a snapshot about Toll from a global perspective. And I won't go through every single little point on here, but really just to give you some overview. Because you've actually, you know, you're here today for transport and logistics industry. Hopefully you have done your research and looked into, you know, the core logistics organisations here in Australia. So Toll, we are a global organisation in about 150 countries. We've got about 20,000 plus employees worldwide. We do have dual headquarters in Melbourne and Singapore. 2015, we were actually brought out by Japan Post. So we were an Australian company, but we are part of Japan Post now. Which is great because we get to be part of that organisation and actually, you know, obviously learn from them as well. So predominantly, though, we are transport, logistics and freight forwarding. Safety obsessed. Claudia touched on that in the panel, but it is one of the core things that we look at. Being logistics, you know, industry, warehousing, a lot of fast moving pieces of machinery. So safety is one of our core focuses because we want everybody to go home, you know, the same way that you have arrived at work. So we don't muck around when it comes to safety. We've got about 13,000 pieces of fleet and equipment. So I'm sure you've seen all the trucks out on the road, the big green trucks everywhere. And I'm sure after today's session, you'll be seeing all the Linfox, DHL, Main Freight, and Toll trucks. You'll see them even more now than what you saw before. So we do have a lot of different industries that we do work in, and you can see on the slide there some of the core industries that we do work across, being healthcare, retail and specialty, government and defence, groceries, automotive, consumer, and this is on a global scale. So it's quite a diverse organisation. I mentioned helicopters before. So we actually do the search and rescue helicopters across Queensland and New South Wales with the ambulance rescues. So we have doctors, we have nurses, obviously pilots. We have a big training centre based out of Banks Meadow in New South Wales, and we have a lot of graduates that do go through and do placements within that actual site. It's a pretty cool site with what they get to actually experience through there. So I talked about the service offering for the graduate program. Global logistics is the core function where our graduates do go. Global forwarding is the other core part of our business, which is our freight forwarding on a global scale across sea, air and land. But from a graduate program perspective, for our 2022 intake, we're focusing on global logistics. So that's your transport, your warehousing across Melbourne and Sydney. Obviously not CBD locations. They're all out in the industrial estates. So you do need to have access to a vehicle so you can get out in those. But it is a great way to come in and learn. And we spoke a lot about learning the foundations of operations on the panel. And going into global logistics actually allows you to actually do that. So quite often our graduates will come in, they'll rotate through different parts of a site, including, you know, being a team leader, being a supervisor. So they're starting to build on those people management skills as well. So it is a really, really diverse organisation. We also have supply chain solutions as well in our program. So our grads can get exposed to those parts of the business as well. So for our 2022 program, our program in Australia was actually on hold for the last 2 years. We had a lot of different things going on. So we put Australia on hold. We just had our graduates across Asia. So this year it's really exciting. Our program is coming back. So I'm currently in recruitment at the moment, and we do have applications open for opportunities in Sydney and Melbourne. And they're both analytical positions and operational positions in those industries. So industrial, which is your fuels, your chemicals, healthcare, and retail and groceries as well. So depending on what you're looking to do, if you've got a particular interest or you're just really keen to start that career within, operations within the industry, any of our graduate positions will help get you that foundational skills that you need to get your head around, what is operations, how does a warehouse work, how do the transport side of things work, and you're learning all of that. So our program, as we said before, it's a 2-year program, and you do 4 6-month rotations. So as we bring the grads in, you actually will belong to one home vertical. For instance, if you're in groceries, you will belong in groceries, but you'll also get exposure to other parts of the business as well. We do have a formal development program for the full 2 years. So there's various external courses that we put you on, as well as a lot of internal training and all the on-the-job training that you get as well. We don't do forklift licenses with our grads, but there's a lot of other things that you actually get to experience from a development perspective. Get a buddy and a mentor, which is pretty standard across all grad programs nowadays. And we also have potential international rotations. I said potential instead of just saying international rotations, just due to COVID and travel restrictions. Before COVID and all the lockdowns, we did have opportunities for a certain number of grads to go and do an international placement. I've had graduates go over to Singapore, Thailand. We've had our Asian grads go to Taiwan, China, here to Australia. So if you are looking for, long-term global opportunities, we definitely do have those at Toll. We've had graduates that have completed the program and then moved into permanent roles within other countries, including Japan. So it's really quite, it's varied, but it's always around what it is that you want to do for your own personal career, where your interests lie, and what it is that you're actually, looking to get. You might decide you're really keen on staying in the analytical space, commercial, safety, or operations. We do have a core focus on building our operational leaders, but again, it varies, it's different for every single graduate with what it is that they want to do and what interests them the most. And I think I've only got one more slide, which is my Q&A slide. I thought I'd talk for maybe 10 minutes and have 10 minutes for Q&A in case people had any questions. So I thought I'd put a couple of photos up here for some of our graduates in Singapore and Australia, so you can see some of the things, just what they have been doing. But I'll open you if anyone has any questions or anything that you want to know. I'll stop sharing my screen, and then I think I can see. I've been in the grad space for 17 years. This is my 3rd company that I have worked for, running the end-to-end graduate recruitment and development rotational program. So, any questions that you have. I can see the question in regards to international students. You need to have full work rights in the country that you're actually applying for. So in Australia, you do need to be a permanent resident or citizen to apply for our programs. So depending on where you're from and where your work rights are is where you can actually apply for our programs. Thanks, Rahul. Any Toll internship programs available in Tasmania? Not at the moment. Our 2019 intake was the last intake that we actually had here in Australia. And we did have Tasmanian-based grads that did come out of the Maritime University down in Tas. For this year's intake, they are only based in Melbourne and Sydney, but that's not to say that won't change in the future. Okay, if you're a dual national, yeah, as long as you've got full work rights in the country that you're applying for, that's fine. I have had graduates before that have been dual citizens who have applied for Australia, even though they've got, passports for other countries as well, and that's been fine. It hasn't been an issue at all. Yeah. As I said in the panel, it's really important to make sure that you're aware of what you're applying for. I've seen graduates come in the past, start with us, and then realise that logistics is not the right industry for them. They want to be more in a corporate city type environment, which is obviously fine, but really important to make sure that you do your research on any grad program that you're applying for, so you can actually be confident that this is a company that you want to work for. And attending things like this and being able to talk to people that work in the businesses is really good and hopefully really helpful for you. And it's really important to make sure that, when you're starting a grad program, just go in and try things. Don't complain and whinge if it's something that you don't like, or you get put into a rotation that you really don't like, because the program manager and the people that are allocating the rotations are looking at the big picture. So they're looking at going, okay, if we put you here now, you're going to gain these skills, and then potentially we'll put you into this next rotation where you can carry on the learnings that you've got. So it's really about just going in there, giving it a try. If you don't like it, you never have to go back there again on most occasions. So make sure you have those conversations, but just give things a try, and you never know, you might actually really like it by the end of it. Any other questions? I can keep talking. I can talk for lots. Yeah. Okay. So we don't have any job openings for the grad program in Toll. If you go to the Toll website, we do have a careers website, which has got lists all of our global opportunities for current roles that we've got advertised at Toll. And you can do a search on location. So if you put in Tasmania or Hobart, Launceston, depending on where the roles are, you'll actually be able to see where the opportunities are. Obviously, being Tassie, we have a smaller number of sites down in Tassie, so there are limited opportunities. So if you are currently from Tassie and studying down there, and you can look at opportunities over here on the mainland, I would definitely recommend doing that if you can. But otherwise, you can register your interest for roles that do become available in Tasmania or any other location on our careers website. We don't have any relocation packages for grads that relocate from Tassie. We've had Tassie grads that have done 2 rotations in Tassie and then decided to relocate over here to Melbourne, and they have got themselves over here. At the time, we did still have our ships, which went when we had our, part of our business was sold off last year. So the ships were part of that business. So when the grad did relocate previously, they were quite lucky. We just stuck everything on the ship, including her in a car, and brought her over here. But we don't have that opportunity, unfortunately, anymore. So, yeah, it's really about thinking about what it is that you want to do career-wise, and how much you're willing to invest if you are having to relocate from, your home location to somewhere else within Australia for the right graduate role. Hopefully that answers anything in regards to relocation packages. For international rotations that we have, that is fully covered by Toll. So flights, accommodation, insurances, and allowances. The grads are paid allowances as well for meals and incidentals as well while they're there. And the international rotations can go anything between 4 and 6 months, depending on where they're going and what they're actually working on. Typically, for the international rotations, we'll look at what's happening across our business. Where have we got big projects? Where have we got new contracts coming on board? Where can we send the grads where they're going to get the best experience and the most learning out of it? We're not going to send you somewhere and just put you in a warehouse in another country where you're doing what you could be doing here in Australia. We're making sure that you're getting a really good learning experience out of it, to continue to build on the skill sets that you've got to then bring back home, and continue that pathway. And I've got a couple more minutes. If anyone else had any questions. Toll's gone through a lot of change recently. As I said, the grad program is just coming back now. We've redone the grad strategy with a clearer, I suppose, focus on operations as well as those functional placements as well. But the opportunities we basically have at the moment are within operations. But saying that, there's a lot more, I think, accountability by our business now going forward than what we've ever had previously, to make sure that the grads are really getting the right learning experiences, so that in 2 years down the track, when you finish the program, you're really set up well to move into that off-program role. And you are guaranteed a role because we do bring you on as permanent employees. But it's a lot more of a clearer focus on what it is that you're doing and what it is you're learning as a graduate, to make sure that we are providing the right pathway for you. All right. I think I'll stop talking now. Check. I'll
You're doing really
hand
well.
back to you. But yeah, check out the website. Just go to the Toll website, Prosper, I was about to say Grad Australia, but have a look on the Prosper website. We've got our jobs are on there as well.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll actually get Bridget to and myself will post out some of the roles in the chat as well for everyone to look at, if they are curious around, some more content, what their life is like and that sort of thing. They can have a look at that as well. Thank you so much for sharing, Sharon.
That's all right. Thank you. And I'm going to actually leave you here now. So thank you, everybody, and enjoy listening to Josh as well, even though he says main freight is the best. That's right.
Thanks, Sharon. I think I want to work for Toll now if you've got international rotations.
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Awesome.
Enjoy.
Thanks, Sharon. Love it.
Bye.